Hi, I'm Patrick Evard, and welcome to A Bridge Between. Last week I said I would pick the best, most embarrassing story, and I have a winner. See, this young man ended up getting stuck in a shopping cart, and I thought, oh, he's probably 3 or 4, that's a terrible thing. He was 12, and they had to break apart the shopping cart to get him out. Now, my only question, which I didn't ask, was he stuck in like where you put your feet, or was he stuck in the actual shopping cart? Either way, that's an awesome, embarrassing story, and thank you so much for sharing that. This week's episode, I would like to talk to you about embracing your strength. See, my buddy's got 2 dogs, Jack and Cody. Now, Cody is the smart one. He is the one that will bark at what he wants. He'll motion to it. He'll essentially talk with his owner. He'll even watch movies, which all that went through my mind when he said that is them watching Avengers Endgame and him sitting there going like, oh my gosh, Tony Stark, and the dog's just like, and he's like, I know that probably didn't happen, but it's in my mind and whatever. Whereas Jack has always kind of been the dum-dum, the goofball. And yet, Keith got this amazing gift where it essentially forces the dogs to work for their food using their snouts, and it tires them out, and it's a great thing for them. But let's watch how that went. You see, Jack figured out, well, if I just lift it up and let it fall everywhere, I don't have to work for my food. Whereas Cody was over there still working for his food, unable to figure that out. Because Jack figured out something practical, even though he's never been the smarter dog. And how many times do we do that in society? In our school systems, we base it off a certain system and a certain intelligence, and if you're not that, you're not intelligent. Yet so many people under pressure with a test don't always do that well. And yet we always said, well, a test basically determines how good you are at whatever the subject is. Whereas really, in my case, I did very well in tests because I was a great crammer. I could cram knowledge in, but I don't really think I've kept a lot of that knowledge. Yet I'm sure there's plenty of people who have kept that knowledge for a very long time. I was just a really good crammer and could cram everything I needed right before the test. See, we're all very different. There's probably people that were in high school who were terrible on tests, yet they're great at doing their taxes and they really don't need TurboTax. Not a sponsorship, just saying thank you. There's people who knew how to do their oil change in high school, and I'm still working to figure that out. There's people who have all these different gifts, these different talents, and yet we don't always see them as intelligent people. It's the same thing in the church. How many times do we look at someone and go, well, they're not as good of a Catholic as me? How many times do we look at someone and go, I'm not as good of a Catholic as them? How many times do we look up and say, I wish I could sing like them. I wish I could be a reader like them. I wish I could preach like them. How many times do we look around and say, wow, they're so holy? How many times do we think we don't have the same relationship with God that they do? You see, that's always been my struggle, is I don't think I have that same relationship as so many of my friends. I'm just blown away by their love and their passion, and I'm sitting here going, what is wrong with me? And it was a beautiful conversation that I had with my friend where he said, well, Patrick, our gifts are so different. What you bring to the table is so different than me, but when we bring them together, it's an even greater gift. And we should use our gifts. Put your aces in your places, as he would say. That is an amazing thought. Your aces in your places. We're all very different in our gifts. We have athletes who play at the highest level. We have doctors, EMTs, firefighters, police officers, construction workers who are amazing at their jobs that so many of us could not do. We have musicians who play beautiful music, create this beautiful music, sing amazing songs. We have these artists who have canvases of just beauty that I could never do. A lot of us could never do. We have people who create these amazing movies, who watch them, who craft them, who act in them, who do the tech behind the scenes. They do all these amazing things that so many of us couldn't do. We have people who travel the world speaking, motivating others, guiding others, helping others. That so many of us are afraid to do and don't want to. That is what's so beautiful about our world. That we are all so different. We are all full of different strengths and different weaknesses, that when we bring our strengths together, we actually beat those weaknesses. That we can create a better world, a greater world. A world where God will look at us and say, yes, that's what I've wanted. For you to unite. For you to be in communion together. That's what we all need to do. That's where we need to start embracing each other. Look, I don't have all the answers for those struggles where you think you're not as good as someone. But I want you to see your strengths. I want you to see them as an amazing thing no one else might have. You're so unique in so many different ways. And so my challenge this week is below in the comments to put a strength and a weakness, and maybe see other strengths and weaknesses. And you might be surprised by what you see. And with that, those little embracing of strengths can help us bridge the gap a little bit more. Thank you.